Hello and welcome along to the first programme of the season, and what a way for Real Madrid to kick things off, contesting the UEFA Super Cup against Sevilla on Tuesday evening in Cardiff. Joining me to preview the game is Sid Lowe. Sid, welcome along.
Thanks very much.
It's a big game to start the season, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's a big game because of it being the first European title of the season. I think more than anything else, though, it's a big game because of the symbolism of it being, if you like, the kind of the celebration of having won that European Cup. And I think sometimes it's difficult to fully express just how significant the 10th European Cup was for Real Madrid, just how long that wait had felt, the sense of desire, maybe even of need to win it. And I think that's a celebration. It's also turned into an even bigger game, of course, because it feels like a homecoming for Gareth Bale. It is very much a homecoming for Gareth Bale. The side have arrived in Wales. We can show you some images of them travelling and indeed arriving. It's big for Gareth Bale. It's big for the city of Cardiff as well, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is. I think it's been the right decision to take the European Super Cup away from Monaco, because although obviously it was a neutral venue and it created that sense of occasion because it always went to the same place, it was a stadium that didn't always fill, that didn't create huge atmosphere on a poor pitch. And this way it feels more like what UEFA are trying to do is bring big teams to other places, and so it's to use the old cliche, it's like the circus coming to town, and it's like the whole town gets excited about it. It's difficult to know exactly how big it would be without Gareth Bale's presence, but that's been a happy coincidence and one that I think will really help to make this a big occasion. It will also, by the way, mean that the vast majority of the stadium supports Real Madrid, not Sevilla, even though there's around about 4,500 fans from each club there.
Absolutely, should be a good atmosphere in the Cardiff City Stadium. Speaking of Cardiff, let's head over to Wales and catch up with our reporter who's there, Rhiannon Jones. Rhiannon.
Hi Phil, well here we are, sheltered from the pouring rain here in Wales outside the Vale Resort Hotel where Real Madrid will be staying until Tuesday's UEFA Super Cup clash against Sevilla. Now that game will be hosted at the Cardiff City Stadium with its increased capacity of 33,000, not quite the Millennium Stadium with its capacity of over 72,000, but all the same we can expect an incredible atmosphere there on Tuesday, not just because Wales will host for the first time their first European showpiece match, but also because Wales are welcoming the greatest football club in the world. And of course, it's the homecoming of Cardiff-born Gareth Bale, who arrived earlier on today, just after midday, here to the hotel, which is where they will stay until their final training session at 7:15 local time later on today. That's all we have time for. Back to you in the studio, and I will bid farewell in Welsh, or at least I'll try. Hwyl fawr.
Sounding very good indeed, Radid. Thank you very much. And try and keep dry. The weather in Madrid, you'll be surprised to hear, is gloriously sunny. Let's show you some images, speaking of Madrid, of some of the training sessions that the side have undergone this week. With all the players back now, all the players have been integrated. Of course, not all of them travelled to the US, so Toni, Kroos and James Rodríguez are in the squad now. Yeah,
it's kind of a staggered start to the season almost for Real Madrid, isn't it? This always happens off the back of a World Cup. Players come back at different times with obviously different levels of fitness as well, because particularly the new players always come in having trained differently to the Real Madrid players. But then you've got the fact that everybody's trained differently with their different nations throughout the World Cup and then had different breaks. I think what we may see then is a shift in style between what Real Madrid do now and what they do in perhaps a month's time, because I think the full fitness won't come until then, at least for some players. But of course, those players who've been there all the way through the summer, and in particular Gareth Bale, who's looked extremely strong in pre-season, will start with an advantage. I'm now going to contradict myself and say that despite that, I expect both Toni, Kroos and James Rodríguez to start this game, even though they're later rivals.
You also think this is going to be relatively straightforward for Madrid?
I do, because while we talk about a Real Madrid side that maybe has got one or two doubts because of new players, and in particular talking about a new goalkeeper, a new central midfielder and a new creative playmaker, but Sevilla have made so many changes amongst various loanees and kids coming through and players going out. I think it's 15 in and 16 out over the summer. The fact that Ivan Rakitic, who was the central focal point of absolutely everything they did last year, isn't there anymore, means I think they've got even less stability than Real Madrid this early in the season, even less clear in their minds about how they're going to play. And Madrid just have so much talent on the pitch. I don't see anything other than, obviously strange things happen in football, but I don't see anything other than a relatively comfortable Real Madrid victory.
Before we go, score prediction?
3-0.
To Real Madrid?
Yes.
3-0 to Real Madrid. Sid Lowe, very, very confident indeed. That's all we've got time for on this edition of The Match. Keep your tweets coming to us using that hashtag TheMatchRM. And if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to the official Real Madrid YouTube channel. Until next time, from Sid and myself, Salios.